In Edge of Tomorrow, mankind is under siege by alien invaders known as the Mimics, who have the unique ability to reset the day, giving them a precognitive edge that makes defeating their hordes virtually impossible. Enter Major William Cage, Tom Cruise, smarmy face of the military's public relations propaganda campaign. When ordered to broadcast from the front lines, Cage refuses, fearing disaster. That decision to go AWOL gets him thrown into the ranks of combat soldiers against his will, on the day of a massive D-Day-style assault. When Cage gets to the battle, it's more hellish than he ever imagined, as is his subsequent death battling a particularly formidable mimic. However, death is not the end. Upon his gruesome demise, Cage wakes up back at the start of his last day. After stumbling through a few death cycles, he is tasked with making contact with legendary soldier Rita Vertosky, Emily Blunt, the only person who seems to understand what's happening to him. Under Rita's harsh tutelage, Cage lives and dies the same day countless times over as he trains to be a smarter and more deadly warrior, one who can hopefully unlock the secret of the Mimic's power, and defeat them once and for all. Tagged as being Groundhog Day meets Starship Troopers, Edge of Tomorrow is, at its core, a particularly slick and efficiently executed science fiction. The end result is another good film from Cruise, one that actually downplays his celebrity persona in all the right ways, allowing a semi-interesting character story to drive the proceedings. While the movie arguably don't go far enough with some of the ideas and or story beats it introduces, its unique stylistic approach to the material makes the experience an overall satisfying one. Director Doug Liman manages to bring an imaginative, polished and kinetic sci-fi action movie to life on screen. The repetition of certain shots and or scenes is deftly handled and serves the story without ever becoming cumbersome, gimmicky or overused. The science fiction elements of the film, like the exoskeleton battle armor and weaponry, or the mimic aliens, are all well realized and rendered on screen. The mimics in particular are a unique and frightening concept for an enemy, and overall, the action sequences in the film are thrilling, entertaining and refreshingly different from the norm. Thanks to a good script, each moment of action or violence has weight, relevance and, surprisingly enough, often humor as well. Liman's visual narrative makes the most out of a nice script. Clever writing, witty use of repetition and well-staged comedic gags work in tandem to lace the film with a sardonic humor mined from the day repetition process, and that humor ultimately helps to sell Cage's evolution, as well as his connection with Rita in an unorthodox but effectively understated manner. Tom Cruise is once again solid in his leading man role, at first mocking his own star persona, then underplaying it as he makes the journey from selfish coward to selfless hero. The role actually makes more use of Cruise's range than usual, drawing on his signature physicality and dramatic intensity, but also drawing heavily on his comedic wit and timing, which has become something of a rarity to see. Emily Blunt is our great beauty and grace that yoga shot will live on forever, and she turns out to be a surprisingly good foil for Cruise, adopting a deadpan frankness that sells much of the grim humor in Cage and Rita's interactions. Again, there is a sense that there was more to Blunt's character and performance, as Rita ultimately comes off as underdeveloped, which is unfortunate, because the character is worthy of more than the broad brushstrokes and vague inferences we get. Along the way, we are treated to some welcome character cameos from the likes of an animated Bill Paxton, who chews on a few scenes a few times over, and a stone-faced Brendan Gleeson, who gets some of the best cutaway gags. We also meet a likable enough roundup of grunts played by European/Aussie actors like Jonas Armstrong, Robin Hood, Tony Way, Game of Thrones, Kukuri, Offspring, Friends Drama, Attack the Block, Dragomir Mrsic, real-life former bank robber Charlotte Riley, Entity, and Masayoshi Inada, 47 Ronin, with Terrence Maynard's spy face likely to be burned into your brain. In the end, Edge of Tomorrow is impressive enough for what it is, with trace hints that it could have been something a little bit greater had the filmmakers chosen to delve even deeper into their characters and story. As it stands, The uniqueness of the genre set premise and sci-fi action distinguish the film from so many others in the genre, and it is at least worth a matinee viewing on the big screen. All in all, another feather in Tom Cruise's hat.